And when the time when I actually transferred them to the next military and family life consultant that was coming in, they both really made a point of thanking me. And he thanked me particularly. He said, because I didn't give you guys any credibility at all. I thought this was, you know, let's hold hands and sing Kumbaya. You know, I'm not opposed to doing that. Yeah. So, in terms of joining and how adjustments have to be made, you have to read what's happening with the person. Now, take that to a family that comes in. I actually specialize in a number of things. Couples, men, teenagers would probably be the. So, family's going to bring in this teenager. This teenager's driving them crazy. Of course, the first thing you have to decide is, do you bring in everybody, or do you bring in just mom and dad and the teenager, right? And sometimes the parents will have a preference, sometimes the kids will have a preference. You have to try to decide based on what is actually being presented, the best way to proceed. But for the sake of argument, let's just make it mom, dad, and the teen come in. The teen does not want to be there. Does not want to be there. All right? Mom and dad want you to fix him or her. So imagine the challenges of joining when already one person doesn't want to be there, and maybe all three of them don't want to be there because the other two are like, my God, I can't believe I got to come to counseling for you. I've had one say that. More than one, right? We should be able to figure this out on our own. I got to pay this guy? Geez, I'd rather take that money and go do something fun with it, wouldn't you? So then you've got to try to decide, who are you going to bond with? If you bond prematurely with the adults, what happens to the potential bond that you have with the kid? Not going to happen. If you bond with the kid, what's the perception of the parents? You're taking his side, and you're not going to back us up. Parents, when they come in, they want to make sure you're backing me up, right? So you've got this kind of juggling act, and it all depends. So what I'll say is, who made the call? And sometimes I know this, but depending on the situation that you find yourself in, if you're in a clinic, sometimes you don't have they ought to have that right in the intake sheet, who made the call. But I'll usually start with who made the call. Can you give me some general summary of what's going on? Right. And then that person will make the general summary. And then I will look to the teenager or the other parent to see, is there any reaction? Is the teenager dying to say something about, you know, what a jerk I think you are to drag me in here? And actually, if they want to say something, I'm like, give them the floor, right? But if they get too nasty, then I set some guidelines or boundaries about, you know, what we're going to do in here. You know, things can get heated. You know, people have strong opinions, but we have to be respectful of each other. Still got to be respectful. And I say the same thing to the parents. I expect that you're going to be respectful. You've got this young man or this young lady here. You want to be respectful of him or her. If the teenager is just checking out, I mean, they're, you know, I don't want to be here. I don't want to be here. God, I don't want to be here. Then I might let the other parent go. Do they have something to add? Would they like something to share? And then I would shift to the teenager. And the teenager, it's interesting to watch this all happen, you know, and I'll say, I really want to get your perspective as well. I hear your parents, and it's clear to me that they're really concerned about you. Can you share with me, what of their concerns do you think have merit, and what do you think don't? Right? Now, again, you don't know. They may make eye contact, they may not make eye contact, they may literally look away, and then, you know, I'll just kind of sit with it. And this is an important thing for you, especially just coming out of the gate. You have to be able to be comfortable being uncomfortable as far as silence. Our culture does not do well with silence. We do not. We want to fill it in. Let's get it in there, right? Let's talk about something. Got to talk about whatever we can get in there. But in this instance, you just want to sit with the client in that moment. Now the parents are going to get anxious. They're going to look at their watch and say, "My God, I'm paying this guy $125 an hour, and we're going to sit here, and you're not going to say anything, right?" You say, "No, hold it. Just take it easy. Take it easy. Let's give John an opportunity to say something." But he's not saying anything. Give him that opportunity. Let's work on the assumption that he does have something to say, and I have my way of weaving things, which is to say, I'm sure he has an opinion. John's got to have an opinion about all this stuff that's going on. He may not want to express it. He may be concerned. He may be trying to spare you. By not saying something, he feels he's respecting you. "Oh, no, what do you mean? That's not respect. This is disrespectful." But think about it. If he were to really say what is in his heart or on his mind, how would that go over? Right? How would that go over? And then they're pondering. They're going. Now, the teenager's starting. You can see him. This guy's. You sure you don't want to say anything? Anything at all? Then here's the one who will come. "I wasn't going to say anything. But now, listening to this," and then off they go. And then once you've made the connection with the teen, and the parents realize you have the teen's best interest at heart and you have their best interest at heart, then things just move. They move. And you can have such an impact in the life of that family that way. You get more than a few of them in. I'll come back to this sibling subsystem. Mom and dad had only been together maybe about a year and a half. Second marriage for each. In fact, they weren't married. It was a cohabitation thing. You got the three girls. And they're fighting. They're fighting at school. They all go to the same school. And we're going to the same school before they started cohabiting, hung out in different groups, but now there's stuff going on at school. And they're fighting and arguing, and friends are taking sides, and I think actually that's the thing that was most disconcerting to the girls. It wasn't fighting at home, over the bathroom and makeup and stealing each other's clothes and that kind of stuff. But I got in there, and none of them wanted to be there. But actually, this is where you get into a gender difference. Okay? I don't understand it. I'm not going to pretend to understand it. Maybe you can help me understand it. But it seems as if on some level, talk therapy, counseling therapy, is perceived to be, I'm not even sure that it is, but it's perceived to be more female friendly. Maybe because there is this prizing of interpersonal interaction and communication. If I had three brothers in there, I really might not have ever got a word out of any of them if they really hated to be there. I had two brothers in once that were just really tough, and they weren't, it was a blended family, but they were the dad's biological children, and he had remarried. And they were a handful in terms of how they could make me uncomfortable. And this is, I've got 35 years doing this. This was probably at the 30-year mark. And they could wait me out and glare and, look at their watch and the deep sighs and the disgust. And it goes on for 50 minutes. And I take the check and go, "Thank you very much." But the ladies, these three girls in the beginning, they're all, "I don't want to be here, da, 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 da." And then I go, "Come on, you got to help me out. Your mom and dad wouldn't bring you in here if there wasn't something going on." "Oh, you don't want to be here." That's one thing we agree on. We don't want to be here. And then the youngest one, God bless her, she was like 13, and the other two were 15 and 16. And then I'm making eye contact with her, and I said, you look like you want to say something. And the other two go, don't you dare, don't you dare, don't you say anything. We agreed, right? And then the 13-year-old goes, yeah, but I just want us to be happy. And then boom, the gate was open and they couldn't shut up. It was just, and they were fighting. As it started to come out, they were fighting over having that bond or that connection. And then what we found out was it wasn't so much the family that they were trying to figure out their new roles in the family and their position in the family, right? Because the only child then became a middle child, and the youngest child now had 2 older siblings to deal with. The oldest was upset with the youngest in the schools, not the youngest, the middle one in the school situation, because now she felt like she had competition in terms of some of these friends. And what happened is they both badmouthed each other to their separate friend groups that then shared all of that, you know, all that kind of slut whore kind of talk that gets passed around, and then they were offended with each other. And then, and so then I took this way of framing it about who's got your back, you know, who's got your back at school. You know, well, my friends have my back. Well, I don't know. Do your friends really have your back? You know, and I would point out things that they said that make me wonder. And then what I did was craft a connection between the 16 and the 15-year-old that the most important thing that they need to do is forget about being sisters. Just forget about it, right? Oh, their ears just perked up. It took the pressure off. I said, but at school, this could be really detrimental to you if you listen or give credence to the things that are being said by feeding into them, sharing bits of information, and your friends are going to take it, they're going to run with it. I said, actually what you need to do is to put a boundary around this relationship that you have, even though it's a step sibling. Yeah, I realize you guys aren't blood, but you've got to figure out how are you going to be together, because it looks like your mom and dad are doing pretty well. They're pretty happy with each other. I don't think they're going anywhere. As much as you guys might like to break them up or see them be somewhere else, they seem, you know, pretty okay with each other. They're concerned about you. So you need to figure out how are we going to be together when we're at school. And then that opened up a whole dialogue. And this sibling subsystem created parameters with no help of the parents about how they were going to deal with their friends, what kind of boundaries they were going to set with their friends. And it was one of those, you hear about the miracle cure, you know, or the magic wand and solution focused, or help me out, am I right?
Okay, because I brought a magic wand in to begin this class on Monday morning.
Well, and he didn't tell me about it. I saw them one time. That all happened in an hour-and-a-half introductory session with them. Mom calls about 6 months later, and she says, Tom, I just had to call. She's like teary on the phone. I don't know what you did in there. Oh, God. But you ought to see them now. They're getting along so well. And Joe and I just want to thank you, you know. You don't get many of those. But when they come, you present them at conferences and teaching seminars. But joining. And I think what I'm trying to do is to just take you in to the actual connection that you're going to make with people, and have your kind of that analytic piece going. How am I going to make a connection with him or her?